going to start now. The time now is 8:30. I request somebody in the room to lead us in prayers. The people in the room, we have Eunice Ngige, we have Joyce Muni, we have David Kabutu. Can we have someone lead us in prayer?
Yes, I will do.
Please.
Okay, let's pray. Our dear Heavenly Father, in the mighty name of Jesus Christ, we come to this project. We want to give you glory. We want to give you love. Thank you for the care you have taken unto us throughout the night, Jehovah God. We want to thank you even for God. We want to thank you for this class. We start together with us. Start with us, Jehovah God. Be with us and end with us. For believing and trusting in the mighty name of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ.
To understand that I'm in a better position to take care of her right now. That's you.
Amen.
So we're going to begin our session, and just a reminder that when you join the session, you can go to the chat, and there's a link in the chat where you can use the link to register yourself. So if you click on that link, you'll be able to register yourself so that we make sure we are registered. As we enter, you just go to the chat and you'll see the link for you to register and become, we know that you have attended the session. Then secondly, as we begin, sorry, I think I've started with the wrong one. As we begin, we have also posted a small quiz. And this quiz is about what we read yesterday about accessing evidence. You remember you listened about the HIV case and the issue of eating carrots and all that. So I've posted a quiz on the myths of corona. So if you look at the chat, you can click that link and it will take you to the myths of corona. So there are two things. You quickly register so that we know you are present, and I'm posting it again. And then also I'm copying the quiz. There's a quiz there. You take the quiz, which is our entry activity, and we see how you are faring. So let us do that quickly. Registration and the quiz are there. So let's take them fast so that we continue with our session. We do a registration so that I see how we are registering, and then we also take the quiz and we begin our session. And I also want to post it in the classroom. I can see somebody asking register where. So I'm posting registration in the classroom on WhatsApp because I can see Peter is saying register where. So I've posted it there. And the quiz, I'm also posting it in WhatsApp for those who are not able to access the chat here. So I've also posted there. So those ones are posted in WhatsApp, so we can continue with our session. So I want to look at I want to share the registration so that I see who has registered and who has not registered. So I'm sharing so that we see so one person has registered in the registration and one person has taken the quiz. 4 people have registered. So we have Leah Maina, Sam Marigat, Sarah, Amasi Kinyam Twiri, they have registered. If you look at, I'm trying to share. So I can see 4 people have registered, so I'm waiting for people to register. Let's take 2 minutes to register and to do the quiz. So I can see in my class, most people are registering. Let's see this way. Today is module 3. So we are only doing module 3, session 1 for this time. Module 3, session 1 for this time. That's what we are doing. I'm seeing people doing other modules. Today is just module 3, session 1. Module 3, session 1 is what we are sharing today, nothing else. I'm seeing people entering other things. It's only module 3, session 1. We are doing module 3, session 1. So while you're registering, I hope you have done the quiz about Corona. I don't know how is your performance on the quiz. I hope you have done your quiz in the Corona. I don't know what is the performance, but I can check and see. But if the quiz is being done by everybody, so 9 people have done the quiz of the Corona. Ten people have done now. So we hope you have done that quiz on Corona. I can see more people are doing the quiz. Can see more people are doing the quiz. And we can see the responses. Now we have 13 people who have done the quiz on the Corona. I hope they are from my class. 16 people. 17 people are submitting. So we have 17 people who have done the quiz. So I hope doing the quiz is allowing you to apply what you learned in the other program, whereby you look at the Ed puzzle about assessing evidence, and that has helped you in trying to apply.
Mr. Minor, please, I cannot see the attendance list.
Yes?
I can't get the attendance list. Registration
It is there
list.
in the chat. The registration list is in the chat. There's a link for the registration link in the chat. And also in the WhatsApp, the registration link is there. So we are going to proceed, and I see people are coming late. I I think as people are coming late, we also need to appreciate that. So in today's lesson, our learning outcomes will be, our learning outcomes will be, we want to see what it means to gather and access evidence. We also want to see why assessing evidence is important. And we also want to see how can we teach our learners to be able to assess evidence. Then the success criteria for this session will be, in order to meet the learning outcome, we want you to participate in the activities that require assessing evidence. And we also want you to review various examples on how to teach students to assess evidence. That will be the success criteria for this particular activity. So, and finally, how you will plan to use what you have done in your school. So I have this question. What do you think is the answer for this? Can you quickly answer this? What is the answer? Post it in the chat. The chat. Is it A, B, or C? Post it in the chat. The answer for that, please post it in the chat. What is the answer for this according to you? And somebody who can speak it out, say so that we check the answer. So Lucy Mwenda has said C. Let me check if it is C. Yes, correct. So Lucy, you have got it. Let's continue. What about this one? What is the answer? I'll be going with the first answer. What is the answer for this? Type it in the chat. Michael M has said C. Let me try. It's not correct. Lucy Mwenda is saying A. Yeah, that is correct. It's A. Let's go for this. What is the answer for this? How has the percentage of people living in extreme poverty in the world changed in the last 20 years? What is the answer for that? And please mute your mic if you're not speaking. What is the answer for this? Type in the chat the response for this. Michael is saying A, Alice is saying A. Okay, let us see. A, that is not correct. Winnie is saying A also. You can see A is not correct. Can we try another one? Lucy is saying C. Let me see. Yeah, correct. So you can see I gave you arbitrary questions and you answered them based on your own knowledge or opinion. So the evidence that you used is on your own knowledge or opinion. Let us check what happens when you do that. Let's watch this video.
First, an axis for health, life expectancy, from 25 years to 75 years. And down here, an axis for wealth, income per person, $400,000, $4,000, and $40,000. So down here is poor and sick, and up here is rich and healthy. Now, I'm going to show you the world 200 years ago in 1810. Here come all the countries. Europe brown, Asia red, Middle East green, Africa south of Sahara blue, and the Americas yellow. And the size of the country bubbles show the size of the population. And in 1810, it was pretty crowded down there, wasn't it? All countries were sick and poor. Life expectancy were below 40 in all countries. And only UK and the Netherlands were slightly better off, but not much. And now, why start the world? The Industrial Revolution makes countries in Europe and elsewhere move away from the rest. But the colonized countries in Asia and Africa, they are stuck down there. And eventually, the Western countries get healthier and healthier. And now we slow down to show the impact of the First World War and the Spanish flu epidemic. What a catastrophe. And now I speed up through the 1920s and the 1930s. And in spite of the Great Depression, Western countries forge on towards greater wealth and health. Japan and some others try to follow, but most countries stay down here. Now, after the tragedies of the Second World War, we stop a bit to look at the world in 1948. 1948 was a great year. The war was over, Sweden topped the medal table at the Winter Olympics, and I was born. But the differences between the countries of the world was wider than ever. United States was in the front, Japan was catching up. Brazil was way behind. Iran was getting a little richer from oil, but still had short lives. And the Asian giants, China, India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, and Indonesia, they were still poor and sick down here. But look what is about to happen. Here we go again. In my lifetime, former colonies gained independence, and then finally they started to get healthier and healthier and healthier. And in the 1970s, then countries in Asia and Latin America started to catch up with the Western countries. They became the emerging economies. Some in Africa follows. Some Africans were stuck in civil war and others hit by HIV. And now we can see the world today in the most up-to-date statistics. Most people today live in the middle, but there are huge differences at the same time between the best of countries and the worst of countries. And there are also huge inequalities within countries. These bubbles show country averages, but I can split them. Take China, I can split it into provinces. There goes Shanghai. It has the same wealth and health as Italy today. And there is the poor inland province Guizhou. It is like Pakistan. And if I split it further, the rural parts are like Ghana in Africa. And yet, despite the enormous disparities today, we have seen 200 years of remarkable progress. That huge historical gap between the West and the rest is now closing. We have become an entirely new converging world. And I see a clear trend into the future. With aid, trade, green technology and peace, it's fully possible that everyone can make it to the healthy, wealthy corner. Well, what you have seen in the last few minutes is a story of 200 countries shown over 200 years and beyond. It involved plotting of 120,000 numbers.
So you can see from this presentation that we need evidence for us to make any decision. And when you have evidence, it facilitates you to make an informed decision. So it's important when we are working with our learners to try and expose them in ways which they can handle evidence. So
First,
evidence might be ignored by people because of beliefs in the things based on emotions. And we saw this in the Ed Puzzle quiz we gave on HIV/AIDS. Some people are still not following scientific beliefs, and their answers were influenced by their belief on their own religious belief or cultural belief. So you find sometimes we don't want to believe on something because it is contrary to our belief system. So there is that element of close-mindedness. Because we believe on something, any other information which is contrary to what we believe in becomes an issue of appreciation or acceptance. So let us observe this class and see what was going to happen in this class. I want you to take some time, listen on what is happening to this class. It's a 7-minute session, and observe and compare. Think about yourself teaching and relate and see how it relates with you.
All right, before we get started, who can remind me what we did yesterday? Right.
We were trying to find evidence to support our claim.
Trying to find evidence to support our claim. So today, we are going to use all of the things that we learned yesterday, plus a couple new things, okay? And the target we are working towards is I can identify evidence that supports a claim. I can identify evidence that supports a claim, okay? So now, not only are we looking at what's fact and what's opinion, okay? But whether authors are actually using good facts to help us believe them, whether or not their evidence makes sense, okay? All right, so before we start, we need to find out what some of these words mean and make sure we are all on the same page, okay? Ari, you want to start us off? Okay. All right, so these are our definitions and our words. So now we're going to talk about how we are going to use them. So I have two separate articles. Half of you are going to read one article. Half of you are going to read the other. Okay? You are both going to be looking for the same information in your different articles. And I'm going to start by showing you how to find that information and what you're going to do with it. And then I'm going to ask you to do the work. Okay? And then after we're done reading, then you will get to get up and move around and argue with each other. Okay. All right. So this is one of the articles that some of you will be looking at. Okay? So this article is from the People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals, or PETA, perspective. Has anybody heard of PETA? Okay, so, Abelardo, tell us a little bit about PETA while your classmates listen quietly and respectfully.
It's like, no, it's because it just took me in the book.
Okay. Ari? Okay, so Ari said that PETA is a group of hippies that care about animals more than human beings. Okay, so was Ari's statement fact or opinion? Okay, so by reading this article, we are going to learn more about PETA. And we're going to talk more about those two different opinions that Laura and Ari already have. Okay? All right. So this article and the other one are both about zoos. Okay? So these articles are about whether or not zoos are bad for animals. Okay? All right. So we might already have some opinions on this. We might not. Our purpose today is to use the information from the text we read, because that's our learning target. Okay? All right. So the first thing I'm going to do is read, and I'm probably just going to read a couple sentences. The People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals, or PETA, perspective. Natural habitats. Okay? I'm going to stop right there. my first step here is to underline evidence. Okay? Underlining evidence, details that support this author's claim. Okay? What is my author's claim here, Alexandra? What does PETA think about zoos? Exactly, zoos are bad. Okay, so I'm going to find evidence that supports that claim. Okay? So PETA thinks that warehousing animals does not save them from extinction. That supports their claim, right? Okay? Let's see, people should boycott zoos and focus on protecting natural habitats. That's all I've read so far, so that's all the evidence that I have. Okay? Pretty easy so far. Not making any decisions about this evidence yet. So that's your first job. Your next job is on this paper. Exciting. All right, so let me explain this, and then we'll see if you still have questions. Okay? On one side I have pro, on the other side I have con. Okay? My con, in this case, is what's bad about zoos. And then my pro would be what's good about zoos. And then I also, on the other side, have facts and opinions. Okay? So I have to make a couple decisions. And the first one's going to be really, really, really easy. The first decision I have to make is whether this evidence tells us what's good about zoos or what's bad about zoos. What's bad about zoos? This whole article is going to be what's bad about zoos. So you don't even have to make that decision. I already made it. Okay? All right. The next decision that I have to make is whether my evidence is fact or opinion. So let's take a look at the first thing that I found. The warehousing of animals does not save them from extinction. Is that a fact or an opinion? Opinion. Why do you think that that's an opinion? Valeria.
So we can see this in this video. We are trying to explore how a teacher is preparing their learners to access evidence. And you can see the way the lesson have been designed. So I'd like you to respond to this question. What did you think about this teacher's approach and the way she taught her students how to assess evidence? You have 2 minutes. Can you post it in the chat? What did you think, what did you like, about this teacher's approach and the way she taught her students how to assess evidence? Let's post that in the chat. What did you like about this teacher's approach? Post your response in the chat. What did you like about the teacher's approach? Thank you, Doc. Let's post our responses in the chat. Thank you, Peter. The way she kept asking why, that is reason. And Margaret says guided them and engaged them throughout. Thank you, Margaret. And Winnie talked about probing them to support their answers and giving them time to think. Thank you, Winnie. We have 6 seconds to hear more. Okay. Michael says they used facts rather than opinions. Okay, let us think about there. Is there anything there that you would like to use in your own teaching? Can you share what you have picked from that session that you would like to use in your own teaching? 2 minutes. What are you picking from this particular session which you like to implement in your own teaching? So somebody will say captivating, gave names to match what was saying, well demonstrated. Okay. Help them to build their confidence. Is there anything that you can pick from this lesson and you're going to implement in your own teaching? That is what we are responding to now. And please mute your mic if you're not speaking. Winnie talked about the use of evidence to support responses. John talks about guiding learners to get evidence. Leah Njoki talks of making learning learner-centered. Michael M. talks about digging deeper on facts and evidence. We have 5 seconds. So we have observed the class and we have got some sense of what we can use in our classes. So we have got a sense on what we can use in our classes. So the next thing that we want to see is to observe a very small game of stick or switch, which you observed in your class. So just to refresh your memory on how you can...
Imagine you are on a game show. The game show host shows you 3 doors. Behind one of the doors is the star prize, a car. Behind the other 2 doors are booby prizes, 2 goats. You have no way of knowing which door conceals which item, and whichever door you pick, you'll receive the prize behind it. You are asked to pick a door. But before it is opened, the game show host opens one of the other 2 doors. Now the host knows where the car is, and he always opens a door to reveal a goat. You are then asked whether you'd like to swap your chosen door for the one remaining closed door. The question is, should you swap? Should you stick with your original choice? Or does it make no difference what you do? Which would give you the greatest chance of winning the car? I'll give you 10 seconds to think about it. So, what do you think? Now, most people will say that it makes no difference whether you swap or not. Behind one closed door is a goat, and behind the other closed door is the car. Therefore, the chances of choosing the car are 50-50. So it makes no difference whether you swap or not. Now, this sounds perfectly sensible. However, it's not correct. The Monty Hall problem is a puzzle about probability. The problem is simple to understand, but the answer is counterintuitive. So what should you do? The answer is you should always swap, as this gives twice the chance of winning the car. Why? Well, there are many different ways to explain why, but perhaps the easiest is to examine what your chances of winning the car are for the two strategies, swapping and not swapping. Let's start by looking at what happens if you choose not to swap. At the start of the game, you are asked to pick a door. Since there are 3 doors and only one hides the car, the probability of you picking the car is 1 in 3, or about 33%. And since there are 2 goats, the probability of you picking a goat is 2 in 3, or about 66%. Now, if you don't swap your door, it doesn't matter which other goat's door the host opens, because you are sticking with your first choice. And the chance that you've already picked the car is 33%. And the chance that you've already picked a goat is 66%. So by not swapping, you have a 33% chance of winning the car and a 66% chance of winning. Now, let's look at the consequences of swapping. Let's consider what happens if, by luck, you pick the car first time, a 33% chance. It's obvious that if you pick the car on your first go and then swap, you are going to end up with a goat. So if you swap, you're going to win a goat at least 33% of the time. What about if you pick a goat first time? Well, here is the crux of the problem. This time, there is only one goat the host can reveal. The host opens the only other goat door, and then you swap to the remaining closed door, the car. In fact, every time you pick a goat door first time and then swap, you will win the car. And the chances of you picking a goat first time are 66%. So by swapping, you have a 33% chance of winning a goat by picking the car first time, and a 66% chance of winning the car by picking a goat first time. So, you should always swap to the remaining door. Why? Because if you do, you'll have a 66% chance of winning the car, and only a 33% chance if you don't. And that is double the chance. I hope this explanation makes sense and that you can see the truth behind the Monty Hall problem. The only remaining question is, do you actually want to win a car? Or would you rather win a goat?
Okay, so we have seen the example on how you need to assess evidence so that you are able to know how to make a decision. So you find that if we want our students to be critical thinkers and problem solvers, then one of the most important teaching strategies is providing feedback. So feedback is very, very critical because it helps us to give our observation about the learning. So we want to take a short quiz with everybody, and I want you to select whether this type of feedback is effective, or the feedback is ineffective, or the feedback is most effective. So I'll give you a question, and then you'll all have 1 minute to decide, and you post your answer in the chat. So in 1 minute, this feedback? What do you think it is? So I have 3 answers saying effective, and I have 2 answers saying most effective. Let us check. Effective, it is incorrect. Let us check most effective. That is correct. So I'll give you another question and another minute to respond. I can see Mercy is saying ineffective, effective, most effective, effective. So I'm with the ineffective. And the answer is correct. I can see that you are very hardworking. That is very ineffective feedback, because I can ask ineffective in, I can ask hardworking in what? You're not specific. Final question. The method to check for evidence is to read what is written in the passage.
Sorry, but this is the end of the quiz. In fact,
You have said ineffective. Let's wait for the others. So Nation says ineffective, Michael effective, Mercy Kinywa ineffective, Justina ineffective, Peter most effective. So I will start with ineffective and see or not correct, and then I go to effective. The correct answer is effective. So the way you do, oh, the quiz is over. So the way you give feedback is very, very critical, because feedback is supposed to be a narrative discussion with the person you are speaking to. So you need to have a conversation. When you tell me good, that is a praise. When you tell me excellent, that is a praise. It means nothing to me. But if you give me a constructive feedback, it is a conversation with me which invites me to listen and understand what is supposed to be done. So there are some things which you need to discuss when you need to consider when you're giving feedback. One is provide feedback which is manageable, but don't make it too simple. Secondly, is ensure that the feedback is not so detailed and specific that the student has no thinking left to do. So you should not do spoon feeding. So when you're giving feedback, you need to understand that you are creating an opportunity for the learner to be able to also make some additional information. So it's supposed to be like a guide. So you give like some key ideas, but then the learner should be able to feed in and add more information. The second one is when you are giving feedback, it needs to be immediate. And you need to consider the time, because the immediate feedback is very effective when the student is learning something for the first time. But if it is the other time, it depends on the nature of feedback. But feedback should not be delayed. You should not tell me, oh, Maina, 3 weeks ago you did very well. It will mean nothing again, apart from being ineffective. So the immediacy is very important. Again, delayed feedback is also effective when you want some certain degree of mastery. So if you want a child to try, make some mistake, try to make meaning. So it's always good sometimes to delay the feedback so the child can have some time to try and have a space of taking risks in what they're doing. Finally, the kind of questions that you give determine how effective your feedback is. So the way you are probing and the way you are asking questions will be very, very critical in guiding the learner on the kind of feedback you're providing. So let's watch this short video on how to give feedback.
And welcome to Positively Mad's Positive Teaching Tips. In this session, we'll look at a way of providing positive feedback called the PIPS method or the PIPS model. We all know what it feels like getting feedback that begins with something positive but then ends with something negative. Getting feedback like this makes some students feel disheartened. They forget the positive and stay focused only on the negative. Now, a more constructive feedback approach when marking or providing assessment is called the PIPS method. It has 4 steps. Step 1, find something specific that the student has done right and then praise it. Praise something specific. Step 2, suggest ways to improve. Provide practical steps that the student can apply to improve that piece of work rather than criticize the errors and the faults. Step 3, provide a positive overall praise statement. In other words, praise the piece in its entirety. Step 4, supply an uplifting comment. Write a comment that is specifically designed to make the student feel good about his or her efforts. Another good piece of advice is whenever you write something positive about a student, put his or her name afterwards. If you write something negative, then don't put a student's name. You don't want the student to associate his or her name with something that is negative. So here are the 4 steps again. Step 1, praise something specific. Step 2, suggest ways to improve. Step 3, provide a statement of overall praise. Step 4, supply an uplifting comment. And there we have it, a simple way of making feedback more positive.
So we have listened to ways of making practical feedback, and we have been able to explore the reasons why assessing evidence is important. So I'd like you to share your feedback. What are the 3 things that you learned? 3 things that you learned today. And the feedback you'll give it in Flipgrid. So if you can click flipgrid.com, then I'll give you the code. I'll post the code in the chat so that we can see what is the code, and then we enter the code in the Flipgrid, and we say 3 things that we have learned. Meanwhile, you can type them in the chat so that we see what are the 3 things that you are taking away. So I'm going to post it in the chat now. I'm just copying it. So I'm copying the code, and I've pasted the code in the chat. You can see the code in the chat. And that is the code we are going to use to share 3 things that we have learned in this particular session. So I'm now going to the lesson modeling, and we are going to become, is it grade 1 or grade 2 children? Because the bell has rung. Hello, welcome to our lesson. Today we'll be doing listening and speaking, and in our lesson we're going to go through storytelling. In this lesson, we will listen to a story which is projected, and we expect you to listen to the story and be able to retell the story. So look at the story I'm projecting on the blackboard. Let's listen to the story. How zebras got their stripes.
How zebras got their stripes. A Ugandan folktale retold by Ned Jensen. Illustrated by Signe Norden. Long, long ago, there were no zebras, but there were a lot of donkeys. The donkeys worked hard each and every day. They had no time to play or to relax. It was just work, work, work. The donkeys carried heavy bundles. They carried the bundles for miles, but they never felt appreciated for the work they did. One day, 2 donkeys got fed up. They decided they did not want to work all the time. Instead, they wanted to graze in green fields. They wanted to drink from clear streams. And they wanted to lie on soft grass. The donkeys went to see a wise old man. They told him their problem. The wise old man thought and thought. He agreed that they worked too hard, and he wanted to help the donkeys. Then suddenly, the wise old man jumped up. "I have an idea," he said. "What is your idea?" asked the donkeys. I am going to paint you, said the man. I will paint you, and no one will know you are donkeys. The wise old man went off to find some paint, and he returned in just a matter of minutes. He had 2 pots of paint. One pot was filled with white paint, and the other was filled with black paint. The old man began to paint the donkeys. First, he painted them white, and then he painted black stripes over the white paint. When he was finished, the donkeys did not look at all like donkeys. You no longer look like donkeys, the wise old man said. Everyone will be fooled. I will call you something else. I will call you zebras. The zebras went to a field to graze. No one bothered them, and they did not have to work. Instead, they lay in the grass and slept. Soon other donkeys saw the zebras. They asked the zebras where they came from. When the zebras told the donkeys their secret, the donkeys all rushed to see the wise old man. Make us into zebras too, they pleaded. So the wise old man painted more donkeys. As he did, more and more donkeys came. The old man could not paint fast enough. Soon the donkeys became impatient. They began to kick and stir about, and they knocked over the paint pots. There was no more paint. The painted donkeys ran off to become zebras. The unpainted donkeys, because of their impatience, had to return to work. This is why both
Okay, so we have listened to the story, and I want to see what has happened. Maybe the projector is having a problem because the story has not ended. So let me see what is the problem.
all rushed to see the paint fast enough. Soon the donkeys became impatient. They began to kick and stir about, and they knocked over the paint pots. There was no more paint. The painted donkeys ran off to become zebras. The unpainted donkeys, because of their impatience, had to return to work. This is why both.
Okay, so we have reached there. You have listened to the story. Having listened to the story, write down 3 questions you would like to ask your classmates to check if they understood the story. Write down 3 questions that you would like to ask your classmates to check if they understood the story. Let's post that in the chat. 3 questions that will help us to check if our classmate understood the story. So write them in the chat. Three questions that we would like to ask our classmates to check if they understood the story. Post them in the chat. So Leah Njoki says, name the different types of animals mentioned. Thank you, Leah. Mercy M say, why did the donkeys go to the old man? Winnie says, why were the donkeys painted? Margaret says, why did the donkey go to the old man? Why did the donkeys kick the bucket of paint? How are zebras related to donkeys? Florence, who painted the donkey? What? Okay. So yes, thank you very much for asking all these questions. So you can see the type of question we are asking also determine the kind of feedback we expect. So I will ask a question now to you. Don't forget this question, you're going to choose a friend and you're going to give a friend the question and you'll take the questions from the friend, then you'll answer. Then in the next lesson, you will come here, we'll call you in front of the, we'll be reading their answers. So for now, I want you to answer my question. The first question is, where did the zebra come from? Just type one sentence. Where did the zebra come from? And as you're saying that, give evidence. Why do you say so? Where did the zebra come from and why do you say so? You give your answer with evidence of why you are saying so. So let's answer the first question. Where did they come from and why are you saying so? Somebody has posted on the farm, from the farm. I want with evidence. When you're saying from the farm, how do you know? Where is the evidence? So you support your claim with evidence. Any claim we make in our class, we have to support it with evidence. And the evidence needs to be credible. So in this case, we have listened to a folktale in the class, a story from Uganda. So always quote your sources. What is not yours, say where you got it from. It is all, imagine if somebody took your idea and they took it as theirs. Will that be ethical? So it's always good to respect other people's idea. So then when you are sharing them, you say, according to Winnie, she said that when you are teaching language, you need two. So you are borrowing your evidence from what you observed from somebody else. So I can see John Kay said there were originally donkeys who went to be painted by the old man from the farm after they were painted. Yes, they came from the donkeys after they were good. So I can see people are saying that. Then we ask the next question, what would have happened if the donkey remained patient? And why do you say so? What would have happened if the donkeys remained patient? And why do you say so? Let's get from the chat. They would all be zebras. So somebody says in WhatsApp, they will all be zebras. Why do you say so? Please support your claim. For any claim you make, support with tangible evidence. Something which is there. What would have happened if the donkeys remained patient? So one person has answered in WhatsApp. We are waiting for others to answer. Leon Joki says they would have all been painted zebras and relaxed from hard work as they would lie, eat grass, and sleep. Okay. And they would all have been painted, yes, Kamunde. Alice says they would all have been painted to become zebras. Somebody would have discovered zebras were donkey. Excellent. I think we are doing well. And now we are going to retell the story. So raise up your hand. I want to select one student to raise the story. So I will ask Lizzie. Lizzie, please unmute and we will start the timer. In 1 minute, you retell the story. Lizzie, can you hear us?
Need to switch off some other things. Just 1 minute.
Okay. So Lizzie, are you ready?
Yes, I am.
Okay, start the story. Retell the story in 1 minute only.
Once upon a time, they were not painted.
And a minute has ended. I will not play the music again. I want to call somebody else. Caroline Amimo, are you there?
Yes.
Caroline, unmute yourself
Yes,
and in 1 minute, tell the story. In 1 minute. Okay, start now.
Okay, there were zebras. Hello?
We are listening. Continue.
Okay, there were zebras, and they were so tired of working hard, so they decided to be painted. And no, there was a man who decided to paint them so that he could relieve them their hard work. So the zebras were painted white and black, but then there are those that were so impatient and they were not painted. So that is why we had zebras and the donkeys remained to be donkeys.
Okay, thank you very much. So I would like all of you, when you go home, you tell this particular story. You retell the story in a minute, and you tell your moms to record you in 1 minute, and they post this 1 minute story to the class WhatsApp page. So make sure that now I know you're at home, maybe mommy is at work. When mom comes back, I'll post this and remind your parents that I require a 1-minute story. So you'll retell the story so that they know what we learned today. And then after learning what we learned today, they'll be able. But let me give one more person. Do we have Kinuthia born first to tell us for 1 minute?
Hello. Yes.
Yes? Can you retell the story in 1 minute? Boniface? We don't have one. Share one thing you can, okay, people are saying they didn't hear. I'll go back a little. So this is what I was saying. I was saying that listening is very important, and it helps us learn things and why things happen. So we need to be listening, but you also be careful. You don't just listen and do whatever you are told. So when you are listening keenly, you tend to understand the thing. So you can listen from the television, you can listen in the children programs, you can listen when you're being given instruction. So listening is very, very important. And you find that it is important when we say something, we support it with more information. That helps us in listening. So remember that you listen every time you are given an instruction. So for today's lesson, I'd like you to type in the chat, share one thing that you liked about today's lesson. Share one thing that you liked about today's lesson. Let's share one thing that we liked about this lesson. Type it in the chat. Lizzie say, I have appreciated feedback. I'm talking about the lesson I'm modeling. We are still in class. The bell has not rung. We are still in my class about how zebras got this. So don't refer to pips and any other things. I'm talking about this lesson I'm modeling. Children, we are in class. So I'm asking about the zebra, how zebra got their stripes. Share one thing you liked about our lesson today. Kamunde saying the story was interesting. We are still reflecting as children in class. So let's give our feedback. How did you like about the listening and speaking lesson we have done now in class? We are still in class. Until the bell rings, that's when we'll give feedback. Don't worry about the other feedback. You'll have time to give the feedback. For now, as children in class, what did you like about this lesson? So Nation says, I have learned that zebras are lazy donkeys. Thank you. Peter says to be patient. Thank you very much, Peter. So I want to give you some work. When you get home, tell the story to the people at home. Share the story to the people at home. And also ask the people at home to tell you a story, so that when you come back tomorrow, you'll tell us the story. So remember, tomorrow, you are answering the 3 questions your friend gave you, and you are also telling us the story. Thank you very much. I think the bell is ringing, and the lesson is coming to an end. Okay. The lesson is over now. Now I want feedback as the teacher. You are observing my lesson. You are participants in my lesson. Now give me feedback. What went well? In this particular lesson, which has just ended, what went well? Let's start there. So Margaret is saying use of illustration. John is saying how to differentiate zebra and donkeys. Okay. What went well in this lesson? And you can have somebody unmute and talk. Let me ask, let me just go to the people and look at somebody and say who can speak. Margaret, can you unmute yourself and tell us? Margaret? Yes, speak. You are giving me feedback about the lesson. Proceed. We can't hear. Yeah? Yes. Yes.
I liked the way the learners were involved in the storytelling.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, because it kept them alert throughout. And
remember, give Give me a feedback, use the PIPS model, the model you learned, the PIPPS. Give me feedback. Continue.
I missed out that part in the lesson.
No problem. Just give me them. Then give me a general feedback. No problem.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
It was full of activity. So that means learners were alert throughout. The concentration was kept alert, and that is for the young learners. It keeps them alert. They enjoy learning through telling.
Okay. Thank you very much. We are also expecting others to write. I'm going to Jane Courier. Jane Courier, please tell us, give me a feedback on my lesson. Jane Courier.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, I think the lesson was interesting, and it was well, the story was well narrated, and the learners concentrated on the information. Yeah, so generally it was a good lesson. Well done.
What can be improved? Tell me, how can I make the lesson much better? I want to be better than this.
Okay, I think maybe to keep the learners more alert.
Yes.
There can be the questioning. Okay, some questioning techniques can be to even mention more other animals that they know.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I can see Winnie saying learners were involved in the story. Bernadette is saying learners were given positive enforcement. Nation says use of the story was relevant to the substrand. Anne is saying, I learned that when giving positive feedback, it is good to state the learner's name at the end. And you're not stating my name and you're giving me feedback. Okay, can we have somebody else sharing? Let me look for a name here in my list. I have Vincent Maundu. Are you there? Vincent Maundu?
Yes, yes.
Please give me feedback on my lesson.
Okay, I can say that the lesson was enjoyable. The learners were able actually to give feedback on what they have learned. Yes, on the side of improvement, as my colleague has said, I think we can intertwine some questions in between so that the learners can be kept busy.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you for that. Let's look for somebody else here. We have Florence Tuo. Florence, can you give me feedback on the class? Florence Tuo. Florence Tuo. Okay, she's not there. Okay, Florence, speak.
Okay. The lesson was good. And I liked the encouragement given to the learners. Yeah. The teacher encouraged the students to participate.
Thank you very much, Florence. So we find that we are having Mercy saying good learner involvement by the teacher. So we are expecting when we break for 1 hour, you're going to make your own lesson, and the one who will be chosen will deliver a lesson like this. So that is what we are expecting. So now I'd like you to list the things you have taken to this lesson, which you are going to implement in your lesson. Can you identify what are the ideas, strategies, perspectives, which you have seen from this lesson, which you might borrow and apply in your lesson today, after this lesson, or in your future lessons? Let's post that in the chat. What are you taking away from this session? the whole session now since we started at 8:30. What are the things that you are taking away? We did the human development stories. We did the HIV story. We did the corona activity. We saw the class, the teacher who was trying to do something. We saw the goat and the car activity. We did a whole 30 minutes lesson where we were students. What is it that you are picking up from all this? Can you type what you are taking away from all this? Let's share in our chat. What is it that we are taking in all this? Okay, Mercy Kinyo, I say that every claim should be supported by evidence. Thank you, Mercy. We are waiting for more. The lesson was interesting. The retelling was a challenge. Always give feedback to the learners. Thank you very much, Judy. How to give my learners effective feedback. Thank you very much, Margaret M. Always provide immediate feedback, Mercy Kinywa. Florence T, giving positive feedback is important. Thank you very much. So ladies and gentlemen, as we are coming to an end, we're going to have a 1-hour break. And in this break, we are supposed to be developing a lesson. And in this lesson, you will be addressing either numeracy or literacy, foundational skills. And we are also expecting you to be uplifting the abilities of assessing evidence. So design your lesson and upload it in the class. There will be a prompt in the classroom. For the other lesson yesterday, only 10 people uploaded. We want everybody to upload a lesson because this is part of your assessment. So upload a lesson there. You will see the quiz talking about a lesson plan. Upload that particular lesson and then prepare. After 60 minutes, we are going to select somebody from this room and the person will be given 30 minutes to teach us. And then we'll have 10 minutes for feedback. And then we'll again select another. So 2 people will demonstrate their lessons. If you wish to present and you don't want us to select, you can share that in the chat so that when we come back, we just know who is presenting. Otherwise, we expect everybody to have a lesson. So I like to thank everybody for your time, for your participation. Let's prepare our lesson now, starting now. And after 60 minutes, everybody would have done something. So thank you so much for this exciting session. You can now unmute your cameras and we wave as we are saying goodbye so that we are all together, so that we see our faces. Unmute and let's see our faces as we are saying goodbye. Bye. Thank you very much. Bye. See you after.
Bye.